In 1978, millions of Americans tuned in to watch a harmless game show, The Dating Game. It was supposed to be lighthearted, fun. A contestant named Rodney Alcala flirted, smiled, and won a date. The audience cheered. What they didn't know was that they were applauding a serial killer. This is the chilling true story of how a predator charmed his way onto national television while hiding a body count. This is the real-life dating game killer, how a serial killer fooled America on national TV. Rodney Alcala didn't look like a killer. In the late 1970s, he looked like everyone else. Long hair, wide smile, an air of confidence that made women notice. But behind the smile was something darker. Born in 1943 in Texas, Alcala's life seemed ordinary, until it wasn't. By the time he was 17, he had already exhibited manipulative, aggressive tendencies. He joined the army but was discharged after a breakdown and a diagnosis of antisocial personality disorder. By the 1970s, Alcala was living in California, a hotbed of opportunity and anonymity. Under the surface, he was already building a double life. Photographer by day, predator by night. He would lure young women and girls with promises of photo shoots, claiming to be a professional. Many believed him. He had charm, he had a camera, and he had an appetite for control. His crimes began long before the dating game. In 1968, Alcala lured an 8-year-old girl named Tali Shapiro into his car in Hollywood. A Good Samaritan witnessed the abduction and called police. When they arrived, they found the girl barely alive. Alcala fled. He disappeared for years. By the time he was placed on the FBI's most wanted list, he had assumed a new identity, John Berger, and enrolled in film school at NYU, studying under Roman Polanski. No one suspected him. He seemed normal. But the violence didn't stop. He continued to manipulate, abuse, and unalive women, sometimes photographing them first. His photographs would become infamous. When they were eventually released to the public decades later, hundreds of women were still unidentified. The most surreal chapter of Alcala's story came in 1978. Despite being a registered offender and suspect in multiple investigations, Alcala managed to land a spot on the nationally televised game show, The Dating Game. It was the epitome of 1970s entertainment. Bachelor number 1, 2, and 3, trying to win the heart of a woman asking playful questions behind a screen. Alcala was Bachelor number 1. The episode is difficult to watch in hindsight. He oozes confidence, he flirts, he jokes. The female contestant, Cheryl Bradshaw, picks him, he wins. But something changed. Backstage, she felt uneasy. She later said, "There was something about him that I found creepy." She never went on the date. That decision may have saved her life. What's chilling is not just that Alcala made it onto television, but that he did so while actively committing violent crimes. At the time of the broadcast, police believe he had already taken multiple lives. Rodney Alcala's reign of terror didn't stop with his TV appearance. He was eventually caught in 1979, after DNA evidence connected him to multiple victims. Over time, investigators uncovered a trail of horror spanning California, New York, and possibly other states. He was convicted of unaliving at least 5 women: 18-year-old Jill Barkham, 27-year-old Georgia Wickstead, 32-year-old Charlotte Lamb, 21-year-old Jill Parenteau, and 12-year-old Robin Samso. But detectives believe the number is much higher. In his storage locker, police found hundreds of photographs. Women and children, many never identified. Some smiling, some clearly posed, some never seen again. It raised a terrifying question. How many victims were there? The answer may never be known. Rodney Alcala fits the mold of a disorganized, narcissistic serial offender, yet with a calculated edge. Experts described him as a classic sociopath, intelligent, manipulative, and devoid of empathy. He enjoyed control. He played games with his victims, and with the justice system. During his trial, he chose to represent himself. At one point, he questioned himself in a bizarre third-person exchange, switching seats, asking questions, then answering them, like a performance. It wasn't about justice, it was about power. One final act of control over a courtroom that held the families of his victims. He was sentenced to death. But the wheels of justice turned slowly. He remained on death row for years, appealing convictions, watching the world discuss his story like a TV drama, the very medium he once used to charm America. Why do we remember Rodney Alcala? It's not just the horror of his crimes, it's the contradiction. He was the smiling face on a game show, the suave bachelor who joked with a stranger on national television, a man whose reality was far more monstrous than fiction. True crime audiences are often drawn to the tension between appearance and reality, and Alcala embodied that perfectly. He was the dating game killer, a nickname that trivializes the gravity of his acts, and yet captures the surreal nature of his case. His story forces us to confront uncomfortable truths, that evil doesn't always look like evil, that charm can be a mask, and that systems, legal, social, media, can be fooled. Rodney Alcala died in 2021 of natural causes while still on death row. He left behind a legacy of destruction, and hundreds of unanswered questions. Many of the women in his photographs were never identified. Families still search, hoping for closure. Others wonder how a man with such a record slipped through the cracks for so long. His case has become a cautionary tale, not just of individual evil, but of societal failure. Would he have been caught sooner in today's world of digital tracking and background checks? Possibly. But one thing remains clear. Rodney Alcala wasn't just a killer. He was a mirror. One that reflected the vulnerabilities of a system and a nation, too willing to look the other way when charm enters the room. Rodney Alcala fooled an entire country, but his story isn't just a shocking chapter in true crime history, it's a warning. A reminder that evil can hide in plain sight, smile on camera, and walk among us unnoticed. If this story moved you, subscribe to the channel. Every day, we uncover the real stories behind the headlines, exploring crime, psychology, and the dark side of human nature. Hit the bell icon so you don't miss what's next, because the truth is never what it seems.